Greetings. It is January 4th, 2008. It is a little bit after 4, and today my interview is with Lansing George Elliott, who's also my grandpa. I am Lansing Robert Elliott, interviewing my grandpa, who is at that camera right over there. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
And all you gotta do is respond in a nice, good answer. My first question to you is, where and when were you born?
I was born in Hudson Falls, January 23rd, 1926. 28 Poplar Street.
Did you have any brothers or sisters at the time?
I had, well, at the time I only had one brother, but I had 4 sisters that were younger than I was.
What were some of your first jobs or activities that you did during your childhood?
First job, well, I was a paper boy for 3 or 4 years, peddled the Hudson Falls Times and the Post-Star. That's when I was in high school.
Were you smart in high school?
Oh, not very smart. I paid more attention to girls than I did with them.
What did you talk about with your buddies during high school? Like any,
Oh, mostly football or baseball or basketball. I didn't play basketball. I played baseball and football in high school. I didn't play basketball. I was a good basketball player, but I couldn't make any baskets, so they didn't use me.
I see. So those were the only sports you played during high school?
Just baseball and football.
And basketball, you just
No,
were good
no.
enough? Well, where were you and what went through your mind on December 7th, 1941?
Well, we were playing cards, and come on the radio said that they bombed Pearl Harbor. Well, nobody knew what Pearl Harbor was. We never heard of Pearl Harbor. And then somebody said it was in the Philippine Island, or the Hawaiian Islands. And we still didn't know where Pearl Harbor was. We never heard of it.
What age did you join into the Army during
Well, I was
World War
18
II?
when I went in the Navy.
And what year was that?
1944.
Did your families know what you were doing? Did your family know that you were going into World War II?
Well, yes, they knew. I had an older brother that was in the Marines.
And what was his name?
His name was William Lee Elliott. He was killed on Saipan there in 1944, I think. I believe it was 1944.
And how did they deal with the war in your absence?
Oh, my mother and father, you mean?
Yes.
Well, my father was working down the GE in Schenectady, and my mother stayed home, took care of the kids.
What did you also do in World War II? You said you were an electrician?
Well, when I went in the Navy, and I was out to Sampson for, I don't know, for a month, and then I went to electrical school out there for 4 months. And then from there I went to Melville, Rhode Island for the PT boats. And from Melville, Rhode Island, we went to, let's see, New Orleans. And then from New Orleans to San Francisco, and then from San Francisco to the Philippine Islands.
I see. And although it was wartime, did you have any fond, happy, or pleasant recollections from that period you were in World War II?
Oh, nothing I can think of. We all had fun.
Did you see any of our commanders in the field in World War II?
No, no.
What was going through your mind in combat if you were involved?
Well, I wasn't ever in combat, Lance. Only once we were. The thing we had, when they retook Corrigador, they had paratroopers were on there, and we were on patrol in case any of the paratroopers missed the island, because all of Corrigador is right straight down into the water. There's only one little flat spot on the whole island. And that was the only action I saw.
Did you see any of your combat buddies wounded during wartime?
No, no, but on that, not our boat, but one of the boats in our squadron picked up a Japanese, I think he was out, they shot down a plane, they picked him up. So they brought him over on the shore, they turned him over to the Army. And I didn't see it, but the guys were telling me afterwards, and the guys, they just went around the corner and and they said the Jap tried to escape. I think they shot him right there, I don't know.
What were some of the major campaigns you were involved with?
Well, that's about the only one in the Philippines. We were getting ready to, to the end, we were getting ready to go for the invasion of Japan, Lance, when the war was over. Some of our boats had gone to Okinawa, and we were supposed to go in another couple of weeks when they dropped the atomic bomb. I thought when I went over there, you know, that the Japs give up because I was over there. But I think the atomic bomb had a lot to do with it, the war being over.
Well, what did you think about Truman's decision to use atomic force
against Japan? It's a good
Japan?
thing they did, lad. If we ever invaded Japan, they'd had 1 million casualties. That was a good thing they did. It ended the war.
Plus 100,000 plus in death by the two atomic bombs.
Well, I know, but if we invaded there, there'd been 1 million casualties, wounded and killed in the United States armed forces. They're the ones that started the war, so let them suffer.
Well, to backtrack, what were you doing after the war started for the U.S. during 1942 and 1943?
I was in high school. I graduated in 43 in high school.
And then short after you joined into the war.
Hmm?
And short after you joined into the war.
What do you mean, Lynn?
Like shortly after. Like a few months later.
After the war was over, you mean?
No, I mean after high school.
Well, I went right out of high school, right into the service just about. So as soon as you're 18, you were in.
Well, you were part of the Marines, correct?
No, in the Navy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My brother was in the Marines. I had an older brother that went. He wrote me a letter when he was in the Marines. He told me, Lance says, don't get in the Marines. Says get in the Navy or the Air Corps. And that's why I got in the Navy.
When was the last time you saw your brother during World War II?
Oh, when he went into service, it was probably, I don't know, it was early 1942 that he joined the Marines.
And, well, how did you feel toward the enemy today?
We hated them.
How do you feel them today, though?
Well, I don't have no love for any of the Japs today.
Even though they killed your brother.
Years later, or whatever it is, I still, the hell with them.
Even though they killed your brother?
Yeah, well, that didn't help any.
Well, where were you when the war ended?
It was in the Philippines, Samar. That was the island in the Philippines. I was on PT Base 17 in Samar. That's on the base was on the east coast of Samar, probably about the center of the island. Samar is a big island.
Can you describe how you felt?
I was happy. Real happy.
You were happy that it was over?
Yes. Well, of course, then it was a long time before you get a boat to come home because well, they had points when you got old, and if you were married and had kids, you got more points, and if you was in the service a long time, you had more points. And I was so low on the totem pole, I said I won't be home till 1950.
Did you go to any other islands other than the Philippines?
Well, we went down to the invasion of Borneo. And then we come back from there. There were no American soldiers in there. They were all Australian soldiers. We were down there, I don't know, a couple, 3 weeks, and then we come back to the Philippines.
I see. And what did you do after the war?
After the war, I worked over the Hudson Falls Block Company for, I don't know, 44 years, I guess.
How did you feel when FDR died during the war?
Well, it was kind of sad. We were kind of scared. You didn't know what was going to happen when he died. You know, they really didn't know what was going to happen.
You guys were too focused into the war and defeating the Japs.
Yeah.
And on the eastern side, you'd have to deal with the European Empire, the Germans.
Yeah. Well, of course, we weren't in that. I mean, all my war years were out in the Pacific.
If you did have any combat, you only said you had at one time.
Right.
How close did you come to the enemy?
Oh, we didn't ever get close to them.
But you've seen them before.
Yeah. Well, you know, after the war was over, we went down, we took a boat one day, we were stationed there, I was stationed at the Cavite Navy Yard, and we wanted to go down and look at Corrigador, where the caves were. And we went down there, and there were some Japs in tents. They were prisoners of war. And we were walking over there, and this kid with me, his name was Bobby Wolf. He was from South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. We were walking over, the Japs pointed at us, and some of them were laughing. Oh, Bobby reached down and he picked up a stone about big as a golf ball. He threw it in that tent. And the Army was guarding them, and I don't know, knocked one of them down. I don't know what the hell happened to this. And the Army guy said, "Hey, you come here." And Bobby said, "The hell with you." He said, "Them bastards ain't going to laugh at me," he said. He was a wild man, Bobby Wolf.
Well, to backtrack, you said you had a few sisters also. What did those sisters do?
Well, they were all younger than I. They were still in school. They were still in school.
Do you remember what they did while you were during the war?
Well, they were in high school, or grade school.
Oh, they were younger than you?
Yes, they were all younger than I was.
Are any of them living today?
There's 3 of them living today. One, Evelyn, the oldest girl, she's dead. And the other 3, one is in Florida, one's in Massachusetts, and the other one lives out in western New York.
Do you know the names?
Well, the one that died, his name was Evelyn. She was the oldest. And then Marilyn, she lives in Florida. And then Ann lives in Massachusetts. And the youngest sister, Agnes, lives out by Niagara Falls.
And when was the last time you saw any of those?
Oh, last summer.
Last summer?
Yeah.
Do they come by to visit?
Yeah, well, the one from Florida, she comes up and stays up in Lake George for, 6 or 8 weeks. And then we go out once a year probably to see Agnes out by Niagara Falls. And Ann, the one from Massachusetts, she comes over a little bit. And the other one, Evelyn, that died, she lived down in California.
I see. Do you have any friends that live nearby from the war? Like, do you have any friends?
No, not really. I was in the Navy. Well, I have one guy I went in the Navy with. He lives up in South Glens Falls, but I haven't seen him, and I only seen him once since I went in the Navy with him. His name was John Michelucci. We went in the Navy together. I've only seen him once since then.
So I take it that you haven't seen any of the friends you've made during World War II?
No, not really. Not really.
Well, you are married, correct? You are married, correct?
Yeah. I've been married, what, 50, going on almost 58 years. To a beautiful Lorraine. She was from Whitehall, you know, went up to this guy, friend of mine, took me up to Whitehall on a blind date. That was 1948, I guess, and there we are. 57, 58 years later.
You guys been together ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a sweetheart, old Lorraine.
When was the first time you actually met
Old
Lorraine, other than the blind date?
Yeah. Well, that was the first time I ever saw her on the blind date. She was from Whitehall. Of course, I tell her not to tell anybody that she's from Whitehall. That's kind of a, well, I won't say no more. About Whitehall, Lorraine.
Well, to backtrack into World War II, during the time when you were in the Navy, how was the food? Like, before you say anything, how was the food, drinks, etc., the supplies that you had during?
Well, the food was lousy. You know, they're feeding so many guys, they just dumped it out on there. Some places you went, it was real good, and then other places it wasn't too hot. Well, we were some places, come like Thanksgiving, we'd all put in $1 or $2, and the cook would go out and buy some extra stuff that we had, and we'd have a pretty good dinner then.
Was the food expensive?
Oh, I don't remember, Lance. It wasn't too much, I guess, and then hamburger used to probably be a 15, 20 cents. I don't really remember how much well, we didn't eat out too much anyway. We didn't have enough money.
You guys didn't earn a lot of money in the war, did you?
No. Well, I think we used to get, well, we first went, it was $54 a month, I think was all we got. Then we went overseas, you got more. But stuff was cheap. Then, you know, you could buy a Coke for a nickel, and cigarettes for a nickel a package, and other stuff was a lot more cheaper than it is today.
Well, during the time when you were in the Philippines and the war on the East Front was still going on, did you guys have news, like TVs, and it would tell you about the updates about?
No, there were no TVs. We used to get them on the radio. That was all.
Oh, I see.
And we
And
didn't have TVs till about 48, 49. I think.
And did the radio, by any chance, tell you any news about the Eastern Front in Europe?
Yeah, we used to hear about it over the radio. They'd put out a bulletin, they'd print out a bulletin, you could read it. They used to post it down there, and if you wanted to go down, you could read what was going on all the time.
Have you been listening to the radio after December 7th, 1941?
Well, yeah, that was all you had to. You didn't have no television. You had, if you wanted to know anything, you had to hear it on the radio or read it in the paper. The papers were big in them days, the newspapers. They used to have extras, and something's happened, they'd put out an extra paper.
At the school, at my school at Hudson Falls, they still have a whole bunch of those newspapers dating back from 1944 to 1945.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a friend of mine, Bill Chase, he was in the Army, and he saw a lot of action. His mother, they used to put, if you went in the service, they'd put your picture in the paper and tell you when in, and she's got an album over there, got it probably about 2 inches thick. Every guy from Hudson Falls, Fort Edward, South Hudson Falls went in the service, and their name was in the paper. She cut it out and made a scrapbook of it. Bill Chase has got that today over there.
And where does Bill Chase live?
Well, he lives over on, I think it's Catherine Street, I'm not sure. He lives someplace over there. That way.
In Hudson Falls?
Yeah, in Hudson Falls, yeah. He saw a lot of action, Bill, he was all over in Europe. He saw a lot.
Where did Bill go, if you remember, in Europe?
Oh, he was all over. He was in the invasion of Sicily, I guess, and North Africa, and then he was at, when they invaded Europe, he was in that. And he saw a lot of action, Bill did.
And he saw most of the action based on Italy.
No, he was in Italy. Well, I don't know if he was in Italy, but I know he was in Sicily. And then when they invaded Europe, what was it, June 11th there, he was in that invasion there, and then he was all across Europe there till the Germans give up.
And how did you get to know him?
Well, he's a neighbor. He lived around the street from me when we were kids. I lived on Poplar Street and he lived down on John Street. We used to play together, play football and baseball.
Did you remember him during high school?
Oh, yeah. Well, he was a little bit older than I am. He's probably a couple years older than I am. But I remember, I still see him once. I haven't seen him lately, but I guess he don't feel too good anymore. He don't get out too much.
Well, did you have any girls as friends? Did you have, like, girls as friends in high school?
Oh, yes.
Do you still remember any of them?
Yeah, I remember some of them.
And are some of them alive today, or is...
Well, some of them are dead. There's a few of them that are still alive. Most of them are still alive. There's a few of them that are dead. I won't tell you any names. Well, all the girls like me, you know, man.
Were you a ladies' man?
No, not really. But I was really charming when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
Something like you.
Well, let's not go into me. I can be charming, but...
Yes.
This is about you.
Yes. Well, that's where you got your charm. I inherited it from me.
Yeah, I inherited it from you. Well, to backtrack back into World War II, did you have any major experiences in World War II? Not during major battles, but during your service.
Well, one of the worst things I saw was at the Samar PT Base 17, and they had the torpedo shops. They had 4 trailers parked together, and there was camouflage over them. They caught a fire one day. They burned up 3 or 4 guys. That was bad. That was bad. I remember they picked up one guy, and the skin would come right off him. He was just like a roast beef or something.
Was that the most, like, brutal thing you've seen?
I think it was probably, yes. I didn't know any of the guys personally, but we used to see them around there. The one guy was married and had 2 or 3 kids. I don't even remember the names now. They don't know what happened. I guess they don't know how it caught on fire, but it would burn up bad. It would poof, went right up.
How do you think it was caused?
They don't know. They think it was, they were washing the floor with alcohol or something, and the refrigerator started up, and the spark from the motor started it. They don't really know what happened. They never did find out that I know.
Well, it also says here that you were discharged from the service in 1946.
Mm-hmm. It was in, I think it was the last of May or about then, about the last of May, I think.
What made you decide to discharge from the Army? I'm sorry, the Navy.
What did I what?
What made you, like, decide to discharge from the Navy?
Well, we were just in for the duration. I remember we was over in the Philippines. We were waiting for a boat to take us home, or a ship to take us home. One guy showed me his ID card, and he wasn't going to get out till 1949. Holy crap, I thought that was the end of the world, 1949. He did enlisted for 4 years or 5 years or something. I thought that was awful. Gee, you'll never get out of here.
Are there any other experiences that you've experienced in the Philippines?
What kind of experiences are you talking about?
Well, any ups or downs?
Well,
You know, like good or bad situations that have occurred for you or any of your friends?
No, it was just, a lot of it was boring. You'd hurry up and wait. Hurry up and go someplace, and then you'd go. I know, we used to have to get down and work on the boats, and there were a lot of mosquitoes down there. I don't know if I told you this story before, so on the way down, they would spray us with DDT. They would shut your eyes and you turn around, they'd spray DDT dust all over you, so the mosquitoes wouldn't bother you. That's probably why I'm half nuts today. I had that DDT on me.
Why did they use DDT back
Well,
in the
that
day?
would kill mosquitoes. That was a good mosquito killer, but I guess they banned it years ago. I guess I don't know why they banned it. It was something of the environment. The birds' eggs they were dying because the eggs weren't hatched or something from DDT. I don't know why they did ban it.
Well, during your service into the war, what time daily did you have to get up and do your duty?
Oh, we'd have to get up 5:30, then we'd get down and eat, and then you'd work, almost all day. And then if you was on the boat, you were, well, not us so much. I wasn't ever on a ship, but if you were on a ship, you had you worked, what was it, 8 hours on and 4 off.
And what were days? I'm sorry. And what were days when you had an emergency, like it was serious, a crucial part into the war?
That was, what would they say, battle stations, if there was any enemy in sight. I know they told us on the boats, the skipper of the boat, says, any planes get too close, start shooting at me. He says, I don't care what the hell kind they are. He said.
And so basically your daily life was, in the Navy, was that pretty much every day?
Yeah, it was the same thing. It just like a job, you went down, you had your duties and duels, then you got off, and the next day was the same thing.
Did you have a curfew? Like a nighttime?
No. Well, we were like we were there in the Philippines, we was right in the jungles. Well, we lived in tents. There wasn't room on the boats. We didn't live on the boats. We lived in tents down there. For a shower, we dug a hole and we get water out of that. We had a 10-gallon can. We'd fill that up with water. We'd pull it up with a pulley. We get all wet and soaked up, and the water be all out. So then we get another can and pull it up and wash the soap off us. Well, that day you had a shower then after a while.
During the war, did you see any kamikaze planes?
No.
Have you heard about them?
Oh yeah, the guys were all scared the hell out of them things. Geez, they come in, they're going to commit suicide, and
they would have their funerals before they...
Yeah, they were bad, that was bad. They killed they got hit a lot of ships. Well, we was a small boat, so them boats were only 80 foot long, so kamikaze pilots wouldn't bother with them anyway. They wanted to get something big.
Well, to backtrack just a little bit more, what encouraged you, what motivated you to join the Navy?
Well, my brother told me. I told you, he was in the Marines. The Marines were all salt troops, and he told me, he said, Lance, so you either get in the Air Corps or the Navy. He said, don't get in the Marines. Well, that's why I got in the Navy.
Things would have been different if you joined the Army, Marines,
yeah,
or the Air Force.
You never know if I had joined the Army. Who knows what had happened? And it's no sense even thinking about it.
What do you think out of the categories is the most dangerous?
Well, the Marines they were assault troops. They were always the first ones in the Marine. Well, the Marines are part of the Navy anyway.
Right.
That's what I tell anybody that's the Marines. I say they're just a minor part of the Navy. They look at me kind of funny when I tell them that.
Have you ever been back to the Philippines?
No.
Ever since?
No. I'll probably never make it. I don't want to go anyway, too far.
Too far away to go?
Yeah.
But you could relive your history.
Hmm?
You could relive your history.
Why, yeah. Why some of the guys don't know. Well, I never saw too much action anyway. It's just that once or twice like we went down to, when they invaded Borneo, there were Australian soldiers. We were down there, and there wasn't any jet planes or ships around there. I don't know why the hell they sent us down there.
Well, have you ever revisited Pearl Harbor?
No.
Have you ever been to Pearl Harbor?
Well, on the way over, we stopped at Pearl Harbor. From San Francisco, we went to Pearl Harbor, and we stopped there, and then we went on to the Philippines.
And you saw what the Japanese
Well, you couldn't see one. We only had Liberty there a couple days, and then we didn't stay too long in Pearl Harbor on the way over. And then when we come back, we went from the Philippines through the Panama Canal into Norfolk, Virginia.
How many times, should you say, have you traveled during World War II?
Well, I traveled pretty all over the United States. I started there in Sampson, then I went to Boston, and then from there to Melville, Rhode Island, and then from there to New Orleans, and from New Orleans to Miami, then back to New Orleans, and then from there to San Francisco, and then from there to the Philippines. Then we come home, we come into Norfolk, Virginia, and we went home from there. Well, we went from there to Long Island. We got discharged on Long Island.
Well, after World War II, where were you sent? Were you sent immediately back home?
After the war, you were over again?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I know we was in the Philippines. We had to wait 4 or 5 months till they get enough ships to get us out of there.
And soon after, when you got discharged, was everybody back from your family?
Yeah, well, of course.
Except your brother.
Yeah. Well, he was the only one who was in service. Well, I had a cousin who was in the service. He was back. And most of the guys, well, I was one of the younger guys. I just got in on the tail end of it. I was lucky I wasn't older. I'd have probably been right in the thick of it.
Who were your parents' names?
My parents?
Yes.
Well, my father was George Elliott, and my mother was Agnes Elliott. Her maiden name was Bishop, Agnes Bishop.
And do you remember what year they were born?
Well, my father was born in 1899, and I think my mother was born in 1900.
And if you want to, when did they die?
Let's see, my mother died in I think it was 87 or 88. My father was killed in an industrial accident in 1953.
That's too bad.
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I was with him the day he got killed. It was bad, Lance. It was bad. I had nightmares over that for a long time afterwards.
Well, I have a few more questions to ask you. And now it's more into the present. You see some of the war documentaries on TV?
Yeah, I watch them when they're on.
There's one that came on recently, a few months ago. It was Ken Burns' The War.
Yeah, I watched a lot of that. I didn't see it all, but I watched a lot of it.
And it was very educational.
Yeah. Well, you know, Lansing is different in them days, you know, like the Japs or Germans, cracks them guys. If you were in combat, you talk to some of them guys, they shoot them guys with a good heart. Well, it's either that or you killed yourself, so there was no mercy.
Do you find it hard to watch documentaries on the war?
No, that don't bother me.
Even today?
No. Well, it's what, 60 years, over 60 years ago now. It's getting kind of dim.
In about 20 or 30 years, you know, some of the World War II veterans are not going to be around.
Well, they say they're dying 1,000 a day now, Lance. It won't be 20, 30 years. It'll be, you know, probably another 15, 20 years, and most of them will be gone.
Time is running out.
Yeah.
That's why people should interview all they can.
Well, it was different then. I mean, the Japanese attacked us, so, I mean, they started the war, and it was different than, like this war they're doing now. I don't know.
Could you explain why the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor?
Oh, cripes, I guess they just wanted more land. They wanted to control all the Pacific, I guess.
Because they were an imperialist power.
Yeah.
What happened after the war? did you discharge right at before the Cold War began?
Oh yeah, I got discharged in, well, it was the spring of 1946 and that. And then, well, they had the Cold War going on, and then I was going up and joined the Naval Reserve. A guy was in there. So I went up to join it, and this was 1950, and the guy said, well, this lieutenant ain't here, so you gotta come back next week. I don't know, he was sick or something. And then the war in Korea started, so I said, hell with it, I never went back.
Because you've already experienced
Yeah,
enough
well,
time in the war.
I was afraid they'd call me back in.
And so you just quit.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quit, I never joined up again, the Naval Reserve.
What did you do as a job after you were discharged?
I worked my father run the Hudson Falls block company, and I worked over there, well, all my life, all my working life. After he died, I run it for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. Hard work. Anything got to do with concrete's hard work. It's like
Which is what I was doing, pretty much.
I say, you don't see too many old masons. Generally, when they're about 50, 55, their back is gone, they can't do it no more. Well, my great-grandfather was a mason. He came over from Ireland. The only thing my grandmother ever told me about her father, that he had hands like horns. His hand, handling brick and stone and stuff, and they get toughened up. And that's the only thing I ever remember her telling me about her father. He came over from Ireland.
And what did Lorraine do as a job?
Who?
Al.
Lorraine? Well, she worked at the Imperial after we got married. I don't know what she did, but where'd you work before that, though?
Store.
She worked in the store in Whitehall.
When did you stop working at the block company?
Oh, what year was it, though? Probably I worked till 1993, 94.
Wow. That's a long time.
Well, it was about 46 years I was over there, 47.
Well, I have one final question for you. Please describe for the young people who listen to this mini DV tape why they should not regard the World War II era as ancient history, detached and irrelevant. Why do you think we need to learn all we can about this time so long ago before we were born?
Well, I don't know, man. It's just like whether they talk about the Revolution when they fought the British. You know what I mean? They remember that. Well, it's like my grandmother. You know what my grandmother, when they were a kid, you know what the biggest holiday of the year was? 4th of July. My grandmother always used to ask me, where are you going the 4th? That was a big thing in her day when she was young, the 4th of July, but now it's just another holiday.
Any other thing about the question I just asked you?
No, nothing I can think of, Lynn.
I can understand that. Well, actually, now I just sparked up just a few more questions based on around the present time. What was the first documentary of the war in World War II did you ever see?
Well, gee, I don't know. It was probably that one that Ken Burns put on.
That was the first one you
Well,
ever saw?
there was other ones on there. I don't remember what they were now. They had everything. They had the Navy, the Army, the Marines. They had them all. I see a lot of different ones. I don't remember now what that. The only one I remember was that one that Ken Burns put on, because that was recently.
Looking back, did you see World War II as a defining moment in your life?
No, just another episode, I guess, Lance. It's just something you had to do, that was all. I mean, you didn't have no choice on that. When you were 18, if you didn't join up, they drafted you. You was right in the Army or the Navy or something in no time.
Mm-hmm. Did you do any miscellaneous jobs after World War II?
No, I went right to work with my father there over the Hudson Falls Block Company, and I stayed there till, well, that was 1946, and I stayed right there all the time. I worked till 19, I don't know, 94, 93, I don't
Well,
know.
you said 93.
No, I don't remember exactly when I read. Well, I worked part-time over there with Dave. I was working with Dave one time, and
My father.
that's your father, and of course I had to do things my way, and he wanted to do it his way, so one day he told me, he said, Dad, why don't you go home? So I went home and I didn't come back. He didn't tell me to go on home. He said, why don't you go home and let him run it? And I did, and he did good over there. But it's like everything else, it runs out. Everything runs out after a while.
And while you and Al, so to speak, were married, you had how many kids?
5.
And are any of them still living today?
They're all living except, I told you, Evelyn, the oldest girl, she died. Billy's in Australia, the oldest girl.
No. I mean, I'm sorry, you misinterpreted what I said. I meant, did you and Lorraine have any kids?
Yeah, we had 5 kids. Is that what you said? Did we have any kids?
Yeah, did you, not for you, I mean for you and Lorraine.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any kids?
Well, yes. I told you we had 5 children. Is that what you mean? I don't quite understand what you mean.
Like my father, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Uncle
he was
George.
the youngest one, Dave.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, there was 5, I told you. There was Billy, the oldest one, and then Janice, and then George, and then Mary, and Dave, your father, was the youngest one. He was the youngest one in the family. My family, our family.
And, of course, Dave is my father.
Why, yes. He's the head honcho up there, right? Except when
Yes.
your mother ain't home.
Let's not go too far into this.
Well, it's like here, I'm the boss here when Lorraine ain't here. When she's gone, I'm the boss here. And when she's home, well, that's something different then.
Well, I think we're about done here.
Well,
Is there anything you would like to say for anybody who would in the future listen to this tape?
well, I don't know. Just God bless America. There's more patriotic Americans, Lance. I think it'd be a lot different country. But there's some of these jerks over there. They want us to lose a war over in Afghanistan and Iraq and them places. I don't know. I can't understand it, but I don't try to anymore.
You did what you did in the
Well,
war.
well, I say, Lance, when the Japs attacked at us, so everybody was gung-ho. You know what I mean? They're going to beat them, and you had no choice. You had to go in the service. You were a young fellow.
Right. Well, I don't have any more questions for you.
Well, that's good.
And I thank you very much for your
I'm
time.
getting tired. I'm getting old, you know, Lance. I'll be 82 in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. I'm tired too.
I better you shut your camera off so I can get down and fix my fire.
I'll do that for you, Grandpa. Let's see, we got 44 minutes. That's a pretty good time, don't you think?
That's good. Oh, I gotta go water my...
And so this is,
Well, that's when he graduated from Samson, the U.S. Naval Training Station. And if you zero in there closely, you'll see he's got an X on the top of his hat.
No. You can put it, X on top of his hat.
I think it's right there.
I Oh, I see him right there.
Yeah.
He's got the X on his head.
Now these, did you?
Well, I'm just looking at the money.
Oh, all right.
And this is a Filipino dollar?
Well, whatever it is, I don't know. Bang. I don't know how much that's worth.
What is this picture of?
I think that's an old Spanish fort that was in an old Spanish fort. And that's him. All of these are our grandfather. See, there he is, and there he is in his sailor
I wish I
suit.
could, like, just borrow them, you know?
Well, you can borrow these to take them, the album to take them home. Is that what you wanted to do?
Well, yeah.
Hmm?
Well, yes.
You will take good care of them and bring them right back when you get
I will take great care of
All
them.
right, I knew you would.
This is a picture with... Who's that?
Well, it's just a friend. It didn't say Lansing friend.
Oh. This is his, discharge?
That's his discharge right there. See, it says honorable discharge, U.S. Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where he went overseas.
Ah, yes.
And then he was in a torpedo boat, and then they went to Shoemaker, California, and then they went to Lido Beach, and then the Asiatic. Those are the medals. Asiatic, Pacific Medal. Are you filming?
Yes.
Yeah. Philippines Liberation Medal, but I'm not sure which ones these are. So as long as you got your camera there, then you wouldn't have to take them. You could just take his dog tag. Wait a minute now, let's get it.
That's
right.
his dog tag?
That's his dog tag. And that's his PT boat.
It's kind of hard to read this. It says Lansing, George Elliott, 897-30-21 T5/44 type -A USNR-NSV. It's C.
Yep. Yep.
This is a
It's a PT boat.
PT boat. Nice. Of course, it's a pin because there's something on the back.
Yeah. He sent one to his mother during the war. Got them in the Philippines.
Anything else you'd like to show me?
Well, that medal went to war with him. Probably kept him safe.
Travel Club, St. Jude.
Yeah.
He's a St. Jude member. Very nice.
I was wishing we had that picture of him with his sailor suit. But as long as you're taking pictures of these.
Well, I'm just going to,
There he is. Do what? You're going to do what?
I'm just going to, like, borrow this,
All right.
and I'll take very good care of
You're
it.
not taking it to school, are you?
Well, I am.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. 'Cause these, I'll never get another copy of these things. I would just as soon have you take the pictures of them now.
All right, sure.
Because
Do you have
if anything ever happened to the web, we would never have any copy of it.
Well, do you have any other medals you'd like to show me?
Well, these are medals, but I'm not sure if they're the same ones that were on his, it might have been his brothers. Now, how many did they say he had there? What was this one? Oh, that's another medal that went to war. On his paper here, what did they say his medals? He got 1, 2, 3.
You got 4 medals.
4
according to
medals.
this.
Okay, here's them. Here are the medals. Can you see them?
Those are his 4 medals?
He's not sure about this one because his brother was the one that got the Purple Heart. So this one might have been one of his brothers. He doesn't remember. You know, there's a place in Washington where you can send and get a picture. That would be a good thing, to get a picture of the medals. And, you know, where they were from Asiatic and the Pacific, all that. He doesn't remember.
Okay. Well, is there any other? Well, there's more pictures. There's
Yeah,
a
that's
whole
him.
page of this.
That's him. Some of them aren't him. Some of them are just his friends. That might be interesting. That's a gun site at Cavite Naval Yard. And that's another old.
Well, here's another one. It says Jap 3 inches. Something, I don't know.
But that's about. Oh, what is it?
Well, there's a few more right here. About where he went off to, you know.
Oh, this is the one I was looking for. That's the man.
Is this him?
That's him. And I still got the Navy uniform in his sea bag. I don't think he could fit into it today. He was a lot thinner in those days. But we still kept it.
Well, I'm glad that you could show me this stuff, and this is very educational.
Yeah, it is. And did you get a good picture of this one?
Which one?
Where it was recorded?
Yeah, I did.
Did you? Good. Yeah, that's good. And you got that one where he was with his class?
Well, Grip, thank you for letting me interview you. It's been real.